decision is in, and RaeQuan battle, Noah Farrakhan, and all other transfers that are now at their third stop are eligible to play for the next 14 days. That decision came yesterday in Wheeling as Judge Bailey granted those granted the TRO to the temporary restraining order to those folks against the NCAA. But there's a lot of confusion with this. What does it mean? What's it not mean? What can West Virginia do? What are they not allowed to do? And why are they still hesitant about playing their guys? So quickly, I want to kind of summarize what this means, and then we can dive into the analysis. So Amanda Kristovich from Front Office Sports, she reported yesterday that an NCAA spokesperson clarifies info on new transfer rule developments. The Ohio versus NCAA court ruling says that for the next 14 days, athletes can be eligible to play even if they didn't get a waiver after a second or third time transfer. If that ruling is overturned after an athlete plays a couple games, the athlete will not lose a year of future eligibility. The games won't count as a year of eligibility either. Another question to the NCAA is if a player plays in the next 14 days and the NCAA waiver rules are upheld on the 27th, does that burn a year of eligibility? The response from the NCAA was the restitution rule listed below was suspended by the court, therefore eligibility would not be impacted. However, Nicole Auerbach of The Athletic also reported that there is a bylaw basically says that the NCAA could vacate wins of games played with athletes who are ruled eligible by a court if the ruling is eventually vacated or reversed. So there's a lot of confusion going on with all of this stuff. West Virginia put out a statement and kind of made it a little bit more confusing to a certain extent because it feels like even they don't have full clarity on what they should do. Here's the statement from WU Athletics. We are aware of the ruling today handed down by Judge John P. Bailey of the United States District Court for Northern West Virginia. We are consulting with WVU's general counsel along with outside counsel prior to making a determination on the eligibility status of any of our student athletes. We will discuss this with our student athletes to make the best decision possible, taking into consideration the potential consequences of our decision. That right there shows that there is still a fear that they can be punished or penalized in some way, in some form or fashion. And again, it is the NCAA that they're going to do some uncharacteristic things. They're going to do things that they go against what they say. That's stuff that they've done for years. So I understand the hesitancy. Should West Virginia play RaeQuan battle? Should they play Noah Farrakhan? In my opinion, I wouldn't. It sounds crazy, but I wouldn't. It's 3 games. It's 3 games, and I know you want to get RaeQuan battle out there because he's going to help you immensely. Noah Farrakhan, from a depth perspective, will help you immensely. However, you play those games, and for some reason the NCAA comes back and says, you know what, we're going to take those wins away. Was it worth it? It's UMass, Toledo, and Radford, I believe, are the 3 games within that 14-day window for West Virginia. UMass, Radford, then Toledo. So the permanent decision on this will come on December 27th, of course, the day of the Dukes Mayo Bowl for West Virginia. And then we will know for sure whether or not these 2-time transfers or 3-time transfers are eligible to play without the waiver. They can play now. The NCAA has come out and said that they are not going to penalize them. The issue is there still can be some. The issue is they haven't really come out and said it on their site. They haven't said it in a statement. There has been text going back and forth between them and reporters, and you're getting all these reports that are coming out. So I think until the NCAA comes out and says this in a statement or has it up on their website, that will be something that moves the needle a little bit in one direction for some folks that feel comfortable enough to go ahead and move forward. For West Virginia, here's the thing, and I get you want to get RaeQuan out there, and you want to get Noah out there, especially for those two. Those guys want to play. They need to play, especially RaeQuan. He's been through a lot. He needs to be on the basketball floor. I understand it. But you're sitting at 4-5 on the season. You're about to enter Big 12 play here in a couple of weeks. If for whatever reason the NCAA does come back and take those wins away, it really puts you in a tough spot to make the NCAA tournament. And who knows what they'll do. They may say, because you played those guys, not only will you be vacated wins, but you'll just be eliminated from the NCAA tournament. They'll say whatever they want to say. They'll do whatever they want to do. It can be taken to the court again. Like there's just so many different things that can play out here. And honestly, it's still really confusing even to me, because I've seen so many reports that say, West Virginia's in the clear. They can play battle. They can play Farrakhan. But I'm seeing things that contradict that. I don't understand why there's so much clarity for those that are putting it out there that they're good to go. I don't get that at all. The NCAA, again, they can say whatever they want to reporters, but until they put it out as an official statement, you can't trust them. So I think that's why West Virginia said what they said in their statement. So I wouldn't 100% guarantee that we will see RaeQuan battle or Noah Farrakhan on Saturday against UMass. I just don't have that certainty. I do think there's a chance, but we'll see. So there's that part of it. The second part of it is, what can West Virginia do with these two back, or with these two now eligible to play? What can they do? Can they get to the NCAA tournament and overcome that 4-5 start? I still think it's a really, really uphill battle. You've got, a tough UMass team on Saturday. You got to decide whether they play or not in these next three. Radford's no slouch. I mean, they're not great, but they're no slouch. Toledo, kind of the same deal. And then you have Ohio State before you roll right into Big 12 play, which, oh, by the way, thank you, Commissioner Yormark, for putting West Virginia as Houston's first ever home game in the Big 12. Tough place to play, very tough team. He's undefeated right now, top 5 in the country. It's a tough schedule, and it's only going to get more difficult as the year goes on. There's not a whole lot of wins in the Big 12 conference schedule for West Virginia. I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't think there was before this news came out, and I certainly still don't think that. And I certainly still think that. This is a team, even with Kirk Risa, even with RaeQuan battle, even with potentially Noah Farrakhan, they're going to have some troubles because of the front court. A Cook. I mean, it's great that he's back. It's a great story. But right now he's playing in small increments. If he can maybe get up to 20-plus minutes a game, now we're talking. But even then, even with all these guys back, it's still going to take probably about a 2 week window for them to mesh and gel together and understand how each other plays. That's what this non-conference portion of the schedule is for. It's why you play the Monmouths and the teams that they've played here in these first 3 or 4 weeks of the season. Now they don't have that. They're going to have to figure this out on the fly against good competition in games that really do matter. So I think there's a chance that they could still get to the NCAA tournament. As tough as the schedule is, with that, you're going to have many opportunities to pull off upsets. And I think that this team certainly has the makeup and certainly has the pieces to do it. Again, it's just how quickly can they gel together? That's my biggest question, because you're not going to have these first batch of games where they can figure that out. I think they're going to be clearly more competitive. I think they're going to be much, much better than they have been. I still think they're going to have issues on the defensive end of the floor, because I don't think the additions of Battle or Farrakhan are going to help you tremendously on that end. It'll help to some degree, but these guys aren't defensive visants. I mean, this is more of an offensive driven addition or additions. So we'll see, but I think it will help out. The starting five in the lineup. I tweeted this out last night, and I think there's multiple ways you can go with this, and I don't think you'd be wrong necessarily either way. But here's what I'm thinking, at least to start out, because a cook, again, you got to get him back up to full playing speed. I think he's still a week, 2-3 weeks away. It's hard to really tell because only he knows. That's a scary situation that he went through. You don't want to rush that. So my starting five as of right now, I've got Kerr Kriisa, Seth Wilson, RaeQuan Battle, Quinn Slazinski, Jesse Edwards. That's if they decide to play Battle and Farrakhan, or if this is post December 27 and the decision holds and they're able to play. Then on the bench, we have Ofri Neve, Kobe Johnson, Akoko Cook, Josiah Harris, Farrakhan, Sumnick, Brembry, and Ali Ragab. And I know there's going to be some debate about Seth Wilson being in the lineup and instead of Kobe Johnson. But look, Kobe has played phenomenal for a guy that is being asked to play a position that he really wasn't recruited to come to West Virginia to play. However, I think having that coming off the bench is a much, much better situation, because now you have two guys that can facilitate the ball, can run the offense. You feel good about if Kerr has to come out of the game, you've got somebody that can run the point. And there's going to be times where both of them are on the floor, 100%. But I think you'd like to split those two up. You also don't want to put Seth Wilson in a position where he can't make shots. Seth, I think, and this is just my personal opinion, has kind of been held back because Kobe is playing out of position. They don't really have a true point guard. And Seth thrives off of having that facilitator on the floor with him. I think with Kerr Kriisa back, you're going to get much better production out of Seth Wilson. And you're putting him in position who you could argue is your best shooter, or one of your best shooters, to succeed. If you bring him in and putting him with Kobe Johnson or some other variations of lineups, I don't know that it puts him in a position to succeed, or your team to succeed. I think you need to have Seth Wilson paired up with Kerr Kriisa. And maybe there's a situation where you play Kerr, Seth, and Kobe at the same time. But again, there's many ways you can attack this. And then I think as time goes on, you'll see where a cook may get slid into that starting line. Maybe. It's hard to 100% guarantee that, because who do you take out? I think at the beginning of the season, we all thought Quinn Slazinski was a bench piece. He's proven he's worth keeping in that starting five. You're leaving RaeQuan Battle in there. You're keeping Kirk Crease in there. And if Seth Wilson's playing well, you're probably going to leave him in there. So it's hard to say that you would slide Battle to the 2 and slide Slazinski to the 3 and then put a Cook in there at the 4. I think you roll with Crease, Wilson, Battle, Slazinski, Edwards. But in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't matter. The starting 5 is just basically something everyone gets excited about because it's just the first 5 on the floor. But it doesn't really matter because throughout the game, the minutes distributed is what really matters. I mean, there's going to be guys, and you see it in the NBA, there's guys that don't start but have more minutes than a starter. So as long as the minutes are allocated to the right people, then that's all you need to worry about. So this is good news for West Virginia. We think with RaeQuan Battle and Noah Farrakhan getting technically cleared to play, the NCAA has done so much over the years wrong, and they will probably continue to do things wrong. But this is a good step. You know, I'm a huge advocate of allowing these kids to play. I do think there has to be some sort of parameters around this thing because if not, it's just a bunch of 1-year deals. You can't have kids transferring 4 different times and getting immediately eligible every single time. That's ridiculous. Or I don't know. Does this mean if a kid hops in the portal today, can he go play at another team tomorrow? Like it's true free agency. Like he technically releases himself from the roster and goes and plays somewhere else, maybe against you within the conference. I mean, they've got to put some parameters around this. I just don't know how you do it. That's above my pay grade. Last thing I want to say before I get off of here. During the hearing yesterday, the attorneys or the representatives for the NCAA were asking some really interesting questions to RaeQuan Battle when he was testifying. And I get it. They're trying to do their job. They're trying to make sure that everything was squeaky clean between RaeQuan and West Virginia and their connection and how that commitment all played about. But this was really about his mental health ailment, right? That's the whole reason why he landed at West Virginia. Yet there was very, very little questions about that. 90% of it, in my opinion, felt like it was about the NIL situation. And if he was being hindered in the NIL area because he was unable to be on the floor. And it just felt like they were trying to get him to slip up and say something he shouldn't. And I'm just not a huge fan of the questioning. I get they needed to figure out what they needed to figure out, and they have every right to ask the questions that they did. I just think it was a little unfair to not only RaeQuan, but to also the judge that they asked the proper questions. Like they needed to ask more about the mental health side. That's the whole reason he landed at West Virginia. Because of Josh Schuyler, because of that connection. He lived up, I mean, you know the story. He lived on a reservation. They felt that instant connection. When he left Montana State, the whole reason this all happened was because his coach at Montana State, Danny Sprinkle, left. He even said it during his questioning yesterday, or his testifying yesterday, that had Sprinkle stayed at Montana State, he would have stayed there. He would not have entered the portal at all. He left. He goes to Utah State, I believe. And then the question comes in, well, why didn't you just follow him there? Well, the academic side of it. They didn't take all of his credits. It would have set his graduation back. Okay, so why West Virginia? Well, they had a great mental health setup. They could help him in that area. He had the connection to Josh Schuyler. This is not rocket science. The NCAA just wants to do what they want to do, and they want to be the ones to have full say in it. And the moment this gets dragged into the court system, like I said last week with the whole Tez Walker thing in North Carolina, the moment they threatened a lawsuit, poof, he's eligible. Isn't that insane? Isn't that crazy how they just out of nowhere they just found this new information within 24 to 48 hours that just, yep, that makes sense. He's eligible. The NCAA, when they go to court, does not have a good track record of winning. So if you're worried about what will happen on the 27th from the fans' perspective, I would say you're probably okay. I think you feel pretty optimistic. You like your chances going into that hearing. But if you're Josh Schuyler, if you're Ren Baker, if you're RaeQuan Battle, if you're Noah Farrakhan, you're always going to be skeptic of the situation. I think you have to be, because you have to look out for your players. You have to look out for your team. You don't want to put them in a situation where if they play and you lose wins, they say that they won't be punished for them being played, and that they would not burn a year of eligibility. But again, you got to have that in writing. It can't just be hearsay. So it's going to be an interesting 2 weeks. It'll be an interesting couple of days, as we're going to find out really soon whether or not West Virginia will play RaeQuan Battle, Noah Farrakhan against UMass, and maybe we'll get some clarity before the game starts on Saturday. I'm trying to pull up the schedule. So West Virginia will have a Zoom meeting actually this morning here at 11:30 on Zoom. So we may get some answers here from Josh Schuyler. But I have a feeling he's going to push this back, and he probably also doesn't want to tip his hand on what he's going to do to UMass, to Frank Martin. If you can keep that to the vest for 48 hours, be a little bit of a surprise element either way, really. Plus, I feel like it's too soon for them to really have enough information to be able to make that decision at this point in time. So we'll see. West Virginia and UMass at the Basketball Hall of Fame Classic in Springfield at 6:30 on ESPNU on Saturday. We'll have that coverage for you, and we'll also have the Mountaineers Now post-game show with Chris and myself. So we'll have that for you. We'll have some more Eilert talk probably tomorrow. That's just my guess. If he comes out and says that they're going to play the kids, or if he says they're not, if he has a decision in his head already, I'll be back here tomorrow morning on Between the Ears talking about it. If not, we'll go in a different direction and find something else to wrap up the week with. So thank you guys for watching another episode of Between the Ears. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube at Mountaineers Now, and hit that follow button on X at the same handle. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back tomorrow.